Now we've been quite serious for some time. Let's look at some more positive news. I'm sure you're all aware of what has happened to poverty in the last decades. This graph shows the total population growth in the last 2 centuries. You see, we go from 1 billion people up to all of 7 billion people today. These are the number of people out of the total population living in extreme poverty. So you see, in the beginning of the 19th century, almost all people were living in extreme poverty. There were almost no exception. A few people maybe there in the UK and the Netherlands. And then as the population starts growing, the number of people living in extreme poverty started growing. It kept on growing and growing, not as fast as the total population, but kept on growing all the way until the 1970s, when it started to go down. And then this has happened. While the population has grown and grown and grown, the share of people living in extreme poverty has really decreased. And we're, for the first time in history, down to 10% of the total population in the world living in extreme poverty. 10%. And you remember over there, as you see, that's more than 90%. And we're down to 10%, despite the total population, or maybe thanks to the population growth. So to reach the Sustainable Development Goal 1.1, we need to do something about that last part. It looks like it's just going to continue and go down maybe until 2025, 2030 something. But those last 10% are, as always, the most difficult 10%. And as this graph shows, I'm a teacher, so I'll have to look at some graphs. As you can see, the people living in extreme poverty going down globally, but for those living in fragile states, not much has happened. The number of people is about still the same in fragile states living in extreme poverty. So these will be the last 10%, and reaching those in the fragile states is the only way of reaching goal 1.1. Thank you very much.